The human medical ship Hope's Mercy moved gently through neutral space, drifting like a white dove across the dark ocean of stars. It was not a warship, not a transport ship, and not a military vessel. It carried doctors, nurses, injured colonists, children, and old people who needed treatment. Its hull glowed with the universal medical symbol, and it transmitted peaceful signals every few seconds, letting every nearby system know it was harmless. Its engines hummed softly, its lights blinked in slow patterns, and inside it, the atmosphere was calm and warm. Dr. Elena Ward walked through the quiet corridors, checking on patients who rested in medical pods. She smiled at children wrapped in blankets, talked softly to old men who were too weak to speak, and reassured frightened colonists who had survived a mining accident. The ship smelled like medicine and clean air, a place where no one expected danger, not even for a moment. Humanity had a universal law that all medical ships must be protected at all costs, and the galaxy usually respected that law, because no one wanted to become the kind of monster that attacked healers. But far away, an imperial patrol group drifted through the sector on routine duty. Their commander, Captain Ralvos, was young, impatient, and eager to prove himself. When the scanners detected the human medical ship entering the edge of their territory, he narrowed his eyes with suspicion. "A human ship, unarmed, entering without permission?" he muttered. His crew exchanged doubtful glances. "It is a medical ship, sir. It shows no weapons," one officer whispered. Captain Ralvos did not listen. His mind was filled with ambition. "What if they are spying on us?" he said. "What if it is a trick?" Another officer tapped the console nervously. "Sir, human medical ships are protected by treaties." Ralvos waved his hand dismissively. "Tear up the treaty," he snapped. "We must show strength." He stood tall, puffing out his chest as if preparing for a great victory. He ordered, "Lock weapons." The officers hesitated, but no one dared to disobey. Weapons charged, lights dimmed. The ship's engines hummed under the sudden tension. Inside Hope's Mercy, the medical staff noticed a strange vibration passing through the hull. Dr. Elena paused and looked toward the window, seeing a distant speck of red light blinking rapidly, a sign she recognized from her military training years ago. "Are those targeting beams?" she whispered, confused. A young nurse stepped beside her. "Who would target a medical ship?" she asked, her voice shaking. No one had an answer. Back on the Empire vessel, Captain Ralvos lifted his hand dramatically. "Fire," he commanded. A single plasma torpedo shot through space, glowing bright blue as it approached its target. Inside Hope's Mercy, the alarm screamed through the hallways. Patients gasped in fear, children cried, doctors ran to secure people, but there was no time. Dr. Elena grabbed the railing as the ship trembled violently. "No, no, please no," she whispered. The torpedo hit the hull. The explosion was silent but powerful. Lights spilled across the medical bays, shaking the ship from end to end. Medical pods shattered. Debris flew across the rooms. Several wounded people were thrown from their beds. The entire ship tilted as systems failed, sparks raining from the ceiling like deadly fireflies. For a moment, there was only darkness. Then, a second explosion ripped through the engine section. A bright white flash tore through the corridors, and Hope's Mercy vanished into dust and flame. In one horrifying moment, hundreds of innocent people were gone. Doctors who saved lives, children who dreamed of Earth, mothers who prayed for recovery, all swallowed by silence. On the Imperial patrol ship, Captain Ralvos smirked with twisted pride. "This is the fate of those who disrespect the Empire," he said. But the room around him remained still. His officers stared at the empty space where the medical ship had been, their faces pale, their hearts cold. "Sir," one officer whispered, "what have we done?" Ralvos did not answer, but deep inside, fear began to crawl into his chest. Meanwhile, millions of kilometers away, on the far side of Terra's oldest mountains, in a place no one had visited in centuries, an ancient vault awakened. It was shaped like a giant metal heart buried beneath rock and soil. Its surface was covered in human runes older than modern nations. They glowed faintly and then burned bright as a deep rumbling began. Inside the vault, a giant machine, larger than any mech, larger than any starfighter, almost alive in its silence, opened its massive eyes. Titan 01 had awakened. Its voice echoed through the vault like thunder. "A medical ship has fallen. The innocent have died. We answer." Across Mars and the outer colonies, other Titan vaults trembled. Titan 07 lifted its colossal head, the ground cracking around its chamber. Titan 07 activated its gravity core, sending ripples through the soil. In the human military command center, alarm screamed. Commander Reeves stared at the red alert with disbelief. "Titan protocols are active," he whispered. His assistant gasped. "But sir, we banned Titan activations 2 centuries ago." Reeves shook his head slowly, eyes full of dread. The Titans wake only when something unforgivable happens. And nothing is more unforgivable than attacking a human medical ship. His voice cracked. Deep beneath Earth, Titan 01 took its first step in centuries. The ground trembled, walls cracked, warning lights flashed. The ancient machine looked upward, its massive body glowing like molten metal. And with a voice that shook the atmosphere, it whispered one final sentence. "Justice will walk the stars."
Rise of the Terran Titans. The ground beneath Terra rumbled like an awakening giant, sending tiny earthquakes through old cities and forgotten tunnels. Birds scattered from treetops, animals froze in instinctive fear. And far below the crust, deep inside humanity's most ancient sealed vaults, the Terran Titans opened their eyes for the first time in centuries. Titan 01 stood in the largest chamber, its metallic skin glowing with fiery patterns as if lava pulsed beneath its armor. The vault lights flickered helplessly under the weight of its presence, dust falling from the ceiling as the giant machine stepped forward, each step shaking the world gently. Titan 01 was not just a machine. It was a living weapon, a synthesis of human brilliance and cold, unbreakable steel. Its mind was a fusion of old war AI and fragments of human memory, making it understand both logic and emotion. It remembered the ancient wars of Terra, the final vow humanity made. Titans shall awaken only for the protection of the innocent. That vow echoed inside its vast consciousness as it received the final message confirming the destruction of the medical ship Hope's Mercy. Above ground, in the human strategic command center, alarms continued to scream. Commander Reeves looked at the red flashing warnings on the holoscreens with disbelief. "Titan 01 has breached containment," a technician cried. "Sir, Titan 02 has activated on Mars," another shouted. "And Titan 07 is powering up on the Europa base." Reeves ran a hand down his face. "This cannot be stopped," he whispered. "The Titans follow their own protocols." He turned to his officers, his voice low and heavy. "Prepare emergency communications. Send messages to all colonies." One officer asked nervously, "Sir, who are we warning?" Reeves looked at him with grim eyes. "We are warning the galaxy." Meanwhile, on Mars, Titan 02 rose from its underground cradle like a mountain lifting itself from red dust. Its silver armor glinted under the weak sunlight. Its massive shoulders emitted blue energy rings that made nearby rocks float before shattering into dust. People in the Martian capital saw the Titan unfold like an ancient god and fell silent. Children pointed in awe. Adults trembled with respect and fear. Old veterans bowed their heads, remembering the stories of the Titan Age. Titan 02 spoke in a deep, resonant voice that echoed across open deserts. "A medical ship has fallen. We march. In the Europa ice caverns, Titan 07 awakened with icy vapor rising from its body. Its glowing orange lines melted the surrounding frost with every movement. The massive machine lifted its heavy arms and activated the gravity core embedded in its chest. Waves of gravity distortion rippled outward, creating smooth tunnels in the ice as it marched toward the surface. The moment Titan 07 broke through the icy shell of Europa, distant ships detected impossible energy signals. "What is that reading?" a pilot gasped. "No known vessel produces that pattern," another replied. Then the screen zoomed out, revealing the outline of the Titan. "My stars," the pilot whispered, "a Terran Titan." Across the galaxy, fear spread faster than light. News networks broadcast emergency alerts. Pirate clans canceled raids. Neutral species closed their borders. Even ancient warrior races whispered in awe. The Titans of Terra have awakened. In the Imperial watchtower near the border, officers watched their monitors as massive objects appeared on long-range scanners. "What are those?" one officer asked. "Ships," another guessed. "No," the chief analyst said, voice trembling. "Those are not ships. They are moving too slowly, too deliberately. Those are walking." The officers' faces turned pale. So the legends were true. Human Titans are real. Back on Earth, Titan 01 emerged from the subterranean vault, breaking the ancient stone seal like thin glass. The sky above darkened as clouds swirled around the gigantic machine, drawn by the energy radiating from its core. Birds scattered in every direction, and the ground groaned beneath the Titan's immense weight. As Titan 01 stepped onto open land, its eyes glowed brighter, scanning the horizon. Its voice echoed across mountains, causing avalanches of dust and snow to fall. Terran Titans rise. Justice awakens. The world responded to its call. Sirens across Earth synchronized with Titan frequency. Colonies received the same pulse, and human ships prepared for the Titan convoys' travel through hyperspace. Inside the Titan's mind, ancient memories stirred, not of war, but of humanity. The faces of healers, nurses, and children, the cries of the wounded, the promise of peace, and the final rule carved into its core: if the innocent fall unjustly, Terra will rise. The Titans began their march toward orbit, moving with slow, implacable force. Their footsteps created tremors that rippled through oceans. Their power fields bend gravity and light. Their deep voices traveled not only through sound, but through consciousness. Starship crews near Earth watched the colossal figures rise above the clouds like walking mountains. "Are we helping them?" a young pilot asked. Commander Reeves answered without turning his head. "No," he said quietly, "we are following them." Humanity prepared its fleets, but everyone knew the truth. This was not humanity leading the Titans, it was the Titans leading humanity. As Titan 01 reached the upper atmosphere, its body glowed with silver fire. Titan 02 and Titan 07 arrived in orbit moments later, their silhouettes casting shadows over Earth's curvature. The three Titans aligned themselves, facing the direction of the Empire's territory. Each Titan activated its ancient hyperspace drive. A massive ripple tore through space-time, stars bent, light folded, and with a flash brighter than a sunrise, the Titans vanished toward the Empire. Their final synced message echoed across the galaxy: "We come for justice. Prepare your truth." The galaxy trembled, because the Terran Titans were on the move, and nothing in existence could stop them.
Empire's panic turns into collapse. The first signs of disaster reached the Empire long before the Terran Titans arrived.
Their deep space sensors, normally cold, calm, and predictable, began screaming with alarms the Empire had never heard before. Red lightning symbols flashed across every holographic map, showing unknown objects moving through hyperspace at impossible speed. The readings were so massive that some officers believed the scanners were malfunctioning. But one look at the energy signatures told the truth. "This is no malfunction," the chief analyst whispered, his voice trembling. "These power levels, they are not ships." Within minutes, emergency protocols activated across the Empire. Sirens wailed through military bases, soldiers rushed into armor suits, dreadnoughts deployed from underground hangars, and planetary shields flared to life. The Empire had fought rebellions, pirates, and rival empires before, but this was different. This was fear. Deep, silent, crawling fear that spread across the hearts of every imperial officer like cold poison. The Emperor stormed into the high war chamber, his robe flowing behind him. His face was twisted with anger and uncertainty. "What are these objects?" he demanded. The analysts projected the moving shadows onto the central holotable. Massive silhouettes walked through hyperspace like giants striding across a cosmic ocean. One analyst whispered the words no one wanted to hear. "They are shaped like mechs. Mechs the size of mountains." General Varnock slammed his fist on the table. "Impossible," he barked. "No machine can be that large and still move." But the readings argued back, louder than his pride ever could. The hologram adjusted to show the incoming Titans. Titan 01 in front, Titan 02 and Titan 07 behind it, marching with perfect synchronization. No thrusters, no wings, no engines. Just pure, ancient human engineering moving through space as if they were born from the stars themselves. The Emperor felt a cold sweat forming on his forehead. "This is because of the medical ship," he whispered. No one answered, because everyone knew the truth. The Empire had broken the one rule no power in the galaxy dared to break. They had attacked healers. They had spilled innocent blood. In the Imperial border sector, fleets scrambled to form defensive walls. Thousands of warships aligned themselves in battle formation, their engines roaring, their shields glowing, and their weapons charging. But even the bravest captains felt their hands shaking on the controls. They saw the Titans approaching, enormous figures wrapped in glowing energy fields, each step bending the space around them. Titan 02 appeared first, exiting hyperspace with a thunderous burst of light. Its arrival created shockwaves across half a star system, making small moons tremble and stations shake from the sudden gravity distortion. Empire pilots stared through their cockpit windows in disbelief. What is that thing? It's taller than our Capitol Tower. It's not a ship, it's a monster. Titan 02 lifted its colossal head, glowing blue eyes scanning the surrounding fleet. With one heavy step forward, gravity rippled outwards. Empire ships began drifting out of formation as their stabilizers malfunctioned. Crew members gripped their seats as consoles flickered and alarms screamed. The Titan raised one massive hand toward the fleet. Its voice traveled through space, not by sound, but by vibration, echoing inside every mind. You killed healers. You attacked mercy. You will answer. Without firing a single weapon, Titan 02 emitted a gravity pulse. It washed across the Empire fleet like an invisible tidal wave. Every engine died, every weapon shut down, every shield collapsed. Thousands of ships froze in place, powerless and drifting. Pilots screamed, commanders panicked, but nothing responded. The Titan had turned their entire fleet into lifeless metal statues with one effortless action. Back on the Imperial capital planet, panic exploded throughout the government. Reports flooded in. Sector 12 fleet disabled. Outpost stations offline. No response from perimeter command. Shields failing on multiple worlds. The Emperor slammed his hands against the table. "This is not an invasion," he shouted. "This is punishment." But the worst was yet to come. Titan 01 entered the system next, larger than Titan 02. Its armor glowed with molten golden lines, its footsteps cracking space like breaking glass. Every moon shook as it appeared. Its presence alone caused tsunamis on nearby planets and massive storms in the upper atmosphere of the capital world. When Titan 01 raised its head, the skies above the Empire darkened as if an eclipse had fallen upon them. Inside the palace, the Emperor stared at the live feed with a trembling jaw. "What are we facing?" he whispered. High Admiral Tyrell answered quietly. "The old Terran Titans. The legends were true." As Titan 01 approached, the Empire activated the planetary fortress shield, the strongest defensive barrier ever built. Energy towers glowed across the capital, merging into a giant golden dome around the planet. The Emperor's pride returned for a moment. "Let them try to break this," he growled. "This shield can withstand a dying star." But the Titans did not fire. They simply walked. Titan 01 pressed its palm gently against the shield. The barrier rippled like water, glowing brighter, brighter, until suddenly, silently, it shattered like fragile glass. No explosion, no fire, just a clean break. The Emperor fell back into his seat, his voice barely a whisper. "We are finished." The Titans stepped into the planet's orbit, their bodies glowing with cosmic fire, their voices echoing across the Empire. "Justice walks. Truth comes. Prepare to answer." The Empire, once proud and arrogant, now trembled like a frightened child. Because their greatest fleets were helpless, their strongest defenses were nothing, their pride was dust, and the Terran Titans had only just begun.
The Titan Judgment. The capital of the Galactic Empire had never known fear like this. For centuries, its golden towers, floating palaces, and armored fortresses stood as symbols of power. Yet today, the sky above them was covered by three colossal shadows. Titan 01, Titan 02, and Titan 07 hovered in the upper atmosphere like ancient gods descending to judge a guilty civilization. Their glowing cores pulsed with energy older than the Empire itself. Each pulse sent waves of pressure through the air, making windows tremble, oceans ripple, and the hearts of billions beat faster with terror. Inside the Imperial war chamber, the Emperor stared at the live feed with empty eyes. His proud posture was gone, replaced by trembling hands and a pale face. Around him, generals argued, cried, and shouted, but their voices sounded weak and hollow, like the squeaks of frightened animals under the gaze of lions. General Varnock tried to keep his voice steady. "Your Majesty, we must fire all weapons at once. Concentrate everything on Titan 01. The Emperor turned toward him slowly. "You saw what happened to the fleets." Varnock opened his mouth, but no words came, because he had seen it. The strongest Imperial forces disabled by a single Titan pulse. The Emperor whispered, "We cannot win." As they argued, Titan 01 began lowering itself toward the capital. Its massive hand extended, and for the first time, the Empire understood the true scale of the Titans. The hand alone was the size of the entire palace. Its fingertips glowed with molten golden light. The city below shook as the Titan's presence disrupted gravity itself, floating debris rising into the air like leaves in a storm. The Titan's voice echoed across the planet, not through speakers, but through the air, through the ground, through every mind. "Empire of arrogance. You attacked healers. You shed the blood of the innocent. Stand and face judgment." Billions of people fell to their knees across the planet. Some collapsed in fear, others covered their heads, children cried, and soldiers dropped their weapons.
The Empire had ruled by fear for a long time, but now they tasted their own medicine. They felt small, helpless, exposed. The Emperor tried to maintain his dignity as he stepped outside onto the palace balcony. The wind from the Titan's energy field pushed against his cloak. His voice shook as he shouted toward the sky. "Titans of Terra, hear me!" He swallowed hard. "This was a mistake, a misunderstanding. We did not intend to attack your medical ship." Titan 02's eyes glowed brighter. "Lies. You fired with intent. Your pride murdered the helpless." Inside the palace, Dr. Lysera, the Empire's top scientist, broke down in tears. "They are right," she whispered. "We failed. We failed every moral code we wrote." Admiral Terrell placed his hand on her shoulder, but he too could not hide his guilt. Titan 07 stepped forward, its gravity core humming like a star collapsing and reforming in slow waves. The energy ripples traveled down to the planet's surface, shutting down weapons, disabling systems, and pulling old imperial war machines apart piece by piece. Across the Empire's capital, tanks lifted into the air and disassembled into metallic dust. Orbital cannons cracked and fell apart. Fighter jets dropped softly onto the streets, as if the sky itself refused to let them fly. Titan 1 lowered its glowing palm until it hovered just above the palace. The ground shook, walls cracked, and towers crumbled under the immense pressure. The Emperor fell to his knees, tears streaming down his face. "Please," he begged, "show mercy." Titan 1 responded, with a voice filled with ancient sorrow. "Mercy belongs to those who show mercy. Your empire showed none." Then came the moment the galaxy would never forget. Titan 02 raised its colossal hand and aimed at the Empire's largest military moon. The moon glowed as hundreds of weapon cores activated in fear, but the Titans simply touched it with a beam of soft blue energy. In less than 3 seconds, the entire moon dissolved into tiny particles of harmless dust, drifting across space like scattered ashes. No explosion, no fire, no death, just silent disintegration, clean and controlled. The Empire watched in shock. "By the stars," a commander whispered, "they erased a moon without destroying a single ship near it." This was not war. This was precision judgment. Titan 07 sent a gravity pulse toward the Empire's war factories. Entire complexes melted into shimmering pools of metal. Weapons broke apart. Missiles lost structural integrity and collapsed into soft piles of debris. The Titan walked through the air, each step sending another shockwave of control across the planet. Finally, Titan 1 spoke the words that cracked the Empire's pride forever. "Deliver the officers who fired on the human medical ship. Free the prisoners taken from human colonies. Dismantle every weapon built with stolen human technology. Or face total silence." The Emperor broke completely. He bowed, lowering his head until it touched the cold stone floor. "I surrender," he whispered. His generals fell to their knees behind him. "We surrender." High above the planet, the Titans watched in stillness, their massive bodies glowing with cosmic power, their voices calm. "Begin your truth. Correct your wrongs. Then we return to sleep." Across the Empire, officers responsible for the medical ship attack were dragged out of their homes and handed over to human ships. Prisoners were freed. Illegal human tech labs were dismantled. Weapons were crushed under Titan judgment. When Titan 1 confirmed the Empire had obeyed every demand, its core dimmed slowly. Titan 02 and Titan 7 followed. Their bodies relaxed, their energy fields faded. They turned away from the capital and began rising back into orbit. The Emperor cried silently as he watched them leave. He did not cry from pain. He cried from the weight of his own arrogance. And across the galaxy, species whispered to each other. Do not touch human medical ships. Do not provoke the Terran Titans. Do not make humanity walk. Because everyone now understood. When the Titans awaken, justice follows. The Titans return to their sleep. The sky above the Empire's capital glowed with fading light as the three Terran Titans rose slowly back into orbit. Their massive silhouettes cast long shadows over mountains, oceans, deserts, and cities. For hours, they had stood like unmovable giants, delivering judgment to an empire that believed itself untouchable. Now their glowing cores dimmed, their energy pulses slowed, and their colossal bodies turned away from the world they had shaken to its knees. The people of the empire watched from windows, rooftops, city streets, and draining battlefields. Some cried in fear, others in relief, but all understood the same truth. The Titans had shown mercy. They could have destroyed the empire completely. They could have collapsed continents, melted armies, and silenced the capital forever. But instead, they left with only warnings and demands for justice. In the imperial palace, the emperor stood on his shattered balcony, staring at the Titans with hollow eyes. His crown lay on the ground behind him, cracked and forgotten. He no longer felt like a ruler. He felt like a child who had been scolded by ancient giants. His generals stayed silent beside him, heads bowed, ashamed of what their arrogance had awakened. "Remember this day," the emperor whispered to his officers, "and teach it to every generation. No one attacks a healer." Across the empire, thousands of freed human prisoners stepped out of cages and underground labor camps. For years, they had been lost, forgotten, or abused. Now they walked into the sunlight with tears covering their faces. They looked up at the Titans with awe and gratitude. "They came for us," one whispered. "They remembered," another cried. A young girl held her mother's hand and pointed upward. "Are those angels?" she asked. Her mother shook her head softly. "No, my love," she whispered. "Those are Titans." Aboard a human command vessel orbiting nearby, Commander Reeves watched the Titans ascend with a heavy heart. His officers stood behind him in complete silence. "Sir," one of them asked, "are the Titans returning to sleep already?" Reeves nodded slowly. "They only awaken for justice." His voice softened. "And justice has been served." He approached the communication console and transmitted the final phrase required by ancient human tradition. "Titans of Terra," he said quietly, "your task is fulfilled." The Titans reacted instantly, each one releasing a soft vibration that echoed across space like a deep sigh from a living mountain. Titan 01, the largest and oldest of them, turned its head slightly toward the human ship, as if acknowledging the words. Its burning eyes fading into a calm white glow. Its enormous voice reverberated through the void. "Innocence restored. Balance returned. We sleep." The three Titans aligned themselves in a triangular formation, their bodies radiating a soft aura like dying embers. Then, with synchronized precision, their hyperspace cores ignited. The space around them bent, rippled, then collapsed into glowing blue rings. The Titans stepped forward, as if walking through an invisible doorway, and vanished in a brilliant flash of light. On Earth, deep beneath the old mountains where Titan 01 had awakened, the ancient vault opened once more. Dust floated gently in the air as the colossal body of the Titan materialized inside, stepping through the hyperspace gate like a warrior returning home. Titan 01 knelt down slowly, lowering its head as if in prayer. The vault glowed with ancient runes that flickered alive, welcoming the Titan back. With a final hum, its core dimmed, and the giant machine rested once again, silent and eternal. On Mars, Titan 02 returned to its subterranean chamber, its footsteps echoing through the red stone caverns. The living metal across its armor cooled, its glowing lines faded, and it curled its gigantic frame into its cradle. An ancient voice whispered across its systems, "Rest, Vanguard." On Europa, Titan 07 descended into the frozen vault, ice reforming over its body like a protective blanket. Its gravity core shut down, causing the surrounding tunnels to stabilize once more. A cold mist covered the chamber as Titan 07 bowed his head. Across the human colonies, people felt the sudden calm, as if the galaxy itself had exhaled after holding its breath for too long. Humanity did not celebrate. They held quiet memorials for the innocent lives lost on the medical ship Hope's Mercy. They honored the doctors, the nurses, the children, and the elders who died without reason. Their memory became a vow that this would never be allowed to happen again. Back in the Empire, things changed forever. Laws were rewritten, commanders were replaced. Schools taught new history lessons about the Titan judgment. Children grew up with stories of the giant protectors of Terra, and a warning whispered in every household: never attack a healer. In the Senate Hall, the Emperor stood before his people and made a promise that shook the chamber. We will never repeat this mistake. We will honor peace. We will respect humanity. His voice trembled, for we have seen what sleeps beneath their mountains. Across the galaxy, species listened to the Empire's message. Some nodded in agreement, others felt fear curl in their stomachs. But every one of them understood the lesson carved into starlight that day. When humanity rises to protect the innocent, when the Titans awaken from their ancient slumber, when justice walks the stars, no empire, no army, no power can stand in their way. And so the Titans returned to their silence, their hearts sleeping, their weapons cooled, their duty complete. But the galaxy would never forget the day they walked, the day the Terran Titans awakened and delivered a judgment that echoed across all of time.